The way she's jumping to conclusions is the way she should have been jumping in the Gauntlet. We're starting off 2025 strong with this book review. This might be the highest, most anticipated read of the year. I say that cautiously because Sunrise on the Reaping is right over there. People are absolutely feral for Fourth Wing. And we're gonna talk all about it. You guys, I have lots of notes, lots of opinions as always, so grab a snack, grab a little fun drink, settle on in. We're gonna be here for a while. Hello everyone, my name's Emily, and I'm excited to chat with you about Onyx Storm today. I have a lot of notes. We're gonna talk about it. Characters, plot, the book cover, the Target fiasco, Barnes & Noble fiasco is going on right now. What is happening? But without further ado, as always, we're gonna keep this first part spoiler free. We'll get into the spoilers. And you guys, I have a lot of thoughts. A lot of thoughts last night when I finished it, and I was like, I need to process what the F I just read. Let's get into it. So, Onyx Storm picks up after Iron Flame, the second book in the Empyrean series. You might know as the Fourth Wing series, the one with the dragons that has everyone in its clutches the past 2 years. I want to say only 2 years because Iron Flame was rushed out, which I have my own very strong opinions on, but we're talking about Onyx Storm today. If you're here, I assume you've read Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. If not, there are going to be spoilers from both of those books, so you have been warned. Onyx Storm picks up from where we find out xaden has turned venin, and they had the big battle against all the venin where Sawyer apparently lost part of his leg. This was news to me in Onyx Storm. I did not, by the way, I did not do a reread because I'm like, you know what, it is what it is. I'm just going in blind. And compared to what I've seen online, even if you did do the reread, you still didn't know what was happening. So I feel good about my decisions. But we end with Violet and the squad figuring out like, wow, we just overcame this huge venin attack. We took out one of their main sages, like their masters, and they're like, now what do we do? Violet's like, well, we gotta figure out a way to cure xaden because he voluntarily turned venin to save Violet. I don't quite understand that, and maybe it's because I just despised Iron Flame so much I didn't try to understand it. He must have used his venin powers to like save her, like kill other venins, because I don't understand how him turning would save her, because he then throughout all of Onyx Storm he's like, my self-control, handcuff me, kill me. It's basically his angsty broody self the whole time was like, stay away from me. I'm not exaggerating. We end there, and throughout the entirety of Onyx Storm, it's essentially trying to find the cure for xaden, trying to find the 7th breeded dragon and Darna's breed, because she's the only one on the continent. So they start going to the islands around, trying to find where they're at so she can get in touch with her family. Violet believes they know the cure to becoming a venin, and essentially preparing for battle and war. And of course there's the romance subplot throughout all of it. I think there's a little bit too much romance. This no longer felt like a romantasy, and we're gonna get a lot more into that as we go. My basic thoughts: thank you for not rushing this release like Iron Flame. The editing was much better. There weren't as many errors in like spelling errors, grammatical errors. There was a lot of publishing errors with Iron Flame, like maps are wrong, they were missing chapters. It was really wonky because it was rushed out so early, and the pre-order for it was like, it was handled very poorly. And it was clearly like, oh my gosh, the Fourth Wing hype, we gotta hop on this. And that's why they rushed out Iron Flame, and I'm glad they took the year to release Onyx Storm. I think the writing style might be getting worse Or it's just becoming more similar to Fourth Wing, and I don't remember Fourth Wing as well. That might be happening. It's not the greatest, most eloquent, beautifully written book. It is my trashy little entertaining story that I'm like, look at all this little drama happening amongst them. You got to get your fix somewhere, you know. But overall, it feels weird speaking on the rollout process of it, just because the Iron Flame rollout was so bad. I feel like I need to touch on Onyx Storms. Let's talk about the Target and Barnes & Noble fiascos before we get into any of this, because I'm going to start going and then forget about them. Special editions are no longer special anymore. I liked Fourth Wing. I do own Fourth Wing. It's somewhere down there. Because the first edition with the gold cover, the dragon spine, it was like a hunt. You had to like, I went out to like so many Barnes and Nobles. I ended up driving an hour out of Chicago to like Joliet and getting it there because there were only so many editions of it that had the sprayed edges with the dragons. And that's how I think special editions are fun. One, I guess it is nice if you're ordering from a specific publisher, you guarantee it. But I feel like it's just becoming a very obvious money grab where there's like 50 different editions, and like, for example, apparently Target had a very special edition, but every Target was only given so many, and all the Targets handled it differently, and everyone's mad at Target employees even though they're paid like barely above minimum wage, and they are not getting paid enough to deal with these crazy people. Yeah, that's you. If you yell at a Target employee, shame on you. If you cried over this, there are many more things to cry about right now. Also, I'm sure she'll re-release a special edition because that's what she did with multiple of her other books. So I think you will be okay. If this is your biggest problem in life, you will be fine. The Barnes & Noble complaints I've seen were just like that some of the midnight release parties were lame. From what I've seen and heard, everything that was done and prepared was all funded by the workers themselves. It wasn't actually like Barnes & Noble gave them a budget or anything. So I think we really got to be giving these people some slack. I think there's a lot of potential for really cool midnight release parties, but I think that's when the corporation has to be completely on board and give funding to maybe like the big sites or whatnot. All in all, this book has been out for officially like 2 days, and the amount of drama around it is insane. But also, I guess anything that this popular is going to draw a lot of drama anyway. So without further ado, just long story short, don't be mean to the minimum wage workers, you guys. Going back to the overarching review, is the world building was much better in this book compared to Iron Flame. Iron Flame was just word vomiting information at me in a way that did not stick in any way, hence why I'm like, who are any of these people? So good job with that. Let's get into the spoilers. If you don't want to be spoiled, save this video, come back. Otherwise, without further ado, we're going to talk about the characters. Miss Violet. I have been defending her through Fourth Wing. I defended her through Iron Flame, even though everyone was like, Violet, your boyfriend is leading a rebellion. He can't tell you everything. Which is fair, but the way he would respond back to her, like, you're not asking me the right questions. You're not asking the right questions. I think there were issues on both their ends, and I think he honestly peeved me a little bit more than her in Iron Flame. But come Onyx Storm, Miss Girl. Miss Girl is really living with the idea and belief that love will solve everything. Love cures everything. And obviously this is fiction. Obviously this is a romantasy, so we're going to have the romance subplot. Or in this case, it feels like the full plot. But like Miss Girl, I fully believe he will hurt you. Even if you think he won't. Also, they've been together for like 2 years. They haven't even gone through an election cycle together. Do they even really know each other? Obviously, I know they're in the middle of a war and they've died almost multiple times. The circumstances are different than us, I know, but like, Violet, I can't defend you in this book. You got on my nerves. Xaden, the appeal around him is gone for me. I miss when he was an enemy. Bring back enemies to lovers, where if the book series is going to be 5 books, have them like get together in the 3rd book, not the 1st book. Or, Miss Rebecca, you have the opportunity to do one of the funniest things. Enemies to lovers to enemies to lovers. And I mean genuine enemies. I want knives at throats. This is romantic, you guys. This is what I want. I miss Rhiannon so much. I'm gonna call her Rhi, because that's what Violet calls her. I miss her so much, and I know she's off being a squad leader. She has a lot of responsibility, so Violet can just kind of fly around, do whatever. And she brings Riddick at least, who we like a lot and is very funny. But I miss her so much. She was so level-headed. And her random chapter, we're gonna talk about that later. I was like, are you trying to get us to adapt to multiple POVs? Is that what the next 2 books are looking like? I might have very strong opinions about that, Miss Rebecca. Kat, I'm low-key like rooting for her redemption arc, because the role of annoying ex is getting annoying. The little snide comment she made at Violet, I'm like, girl, there are people dying out here. Clearly, he's not into you anymore. Move on. And then she tragically didn't. Yikes. Bodhi and Garrick are my new crushes. We love them. They're so cool. They're way more level-headed than Xaden. He's like, honestly, like, I'm like, dude, take a chill pill. Relax. I'm also glad Jane is getting a redemption arc. Him and Sloane. I'll ship it. I like Sloane a lot, and Dane is getting redeemed, so no complaints here. Dane's dad, though, literally, what's his deal? I'm so sick of him and the way he like sent people to spy on Xaden and Violet, and the random professor side quest that like perfectly gave Xaden a reason to be at the school more so he can be around Violet and protected from his venom tendencies. We're gonna get more into that in the plot, but Dane's dad sucks. Honestly, I couldn't tell you who any of the professors were. She was literally talking about like, oh, my favorite professor. I was like, who? Who are these people? Oh, speaking of someone else who sucks, Xaden's mom. I know it was an arranged marriage and there was a contract. That's crazy to leave your son, though. That's crazy. And then also her significant other poisons your son and all of his like friends. That's crazy. Good for Violet for poisoning them first, like as she should. I love that for her. Theophany. Honestly, the concept of her character is so cool. The venom version of Violet's mom. That's exciting. This is a fun character. I really hope she didn't die. I think she might have, but I'm really hoping she didn't, because she's such a fun character. All I have is Halden equals boring. The classic toxic ex or little teenage girl leaves Violet. I'm bored. He's boring. I would have liked it if like he was maybe like actually decent, so then like Xaden would have a reason maybe to be a little jealous, but like he's just the worst. And then we love Eric. Let's get into the plot, because that's where I have the majority of my notes. So I just wrote general, like random things that came to my mind I want to talk about, but let's talk about the general plot discussion, or general plot premise. It was very lackluster to me. I feel like everything worked out quite conveniently, besides not finding a cure for the venom. Like the irids, I'm gonna say irids for Indarna's kind. They like find them on the 3rd island, and then they're like, no, we won't fight. And then suddenly they're like, actually, we will fight. We'll warm and light up that water stone or whatever was in that temple thing. whatever it is. And I know, like, to get there, to find them, like, they hopped on 3 islands. And there were casualties. Obviously, Aura died because she got scared of a dark figure who was her professor and then lit herself and him on fire. She was a wing leader. This is the people that make wing leaders. And then, obviously, Trager, whatever Cat's new homeboy is called. Trager? Trader? Mick Jagger? I don't know his name. The, like, rider that was in love with Cat and then got shot with an arrow. But besides that, not too hard. And the poisoning, that whole thing with Xaden's mom's new family. And the fact that they tried to off them, that was crazy. But besides that, it was essentially just like them doing their little research. There were random parts with school. Some, like, I do like the combat classes. Those were interesting. I'm glad Violet's getting better at controlling her signet. I don't know. I just found it very lackluster. And the plot twist at the end. Why was it giving me Reckless vibes? But like in a worse way, potentially. I don't know. I'm not going to say worse, but I was just like, what? Like, how did we not see this coming? This has been predictable since the beginning of this book. At least, probably since Iron Flame. Let's go into my plot points though, because a lot of it just blends together, so we're going to get into each of them. First one I'll note, all the intimate scenes had the same exact lead up. Violet was distracted. Xaden's fixated on her. She keeps talking. He interrupts her. They make out. End chapter, new chapter. There were 3 different times that had the exact same build up, and I'm just like, it was fun the first time. Or was it fun the first time? I feel like some of these authors are like they know what we like, or we know we did like, and then they just reuse the same thing, like the oh, or the like the praise good girl, or the whole like you could take all of me. The whole like cutting them off mid-sentence. I just want something new. Write something more original for me, please. I'm a little bored. Next one I'll note, no one is special with all these double signets. And I know that Xaden said that the dragons like purposely bonded with people that were more powerful and more likely to have a second one. But now Garrick is a distance jumper, which is crazy. Xaden has one. Violet has one, which hers is like the only one that makes sense to me because I'm like, she has 2 dragons. Or had. But I'm like, everyone has 2 these days. So if you have 1, you're boring. Boo. And if it's not one of the ones that'll get you execute because it's so cool. Boring. Which leads me into talking about Violet's. Hers is kind of lame. I'm gonna say it. What's she gonna do? She's gonna learn how to control and enter someone's dream. 1, Violet has to be sleeping first, but she barely does that, or does it well. 2, she has to control who she's going into, and she can like influence a dream. What good does that do though? Unless the venom find a way to actually hurt them in their dreams, but from what we can see with Xaden and Violet, they have not found success through that. What is that gonna do? It's not like it's just showing them a bad memory or a bad, maybe insecurity of theirs. She can't jump into Venon's dreams. Whose dream is she going to jump into? That would be interesting, or would help us anyway. I don't know. And they're like, oh, it's an intrinsic power. You can get executed for that. I'm like, why couldn't she have been a distance wielder or stop time? That would have been cool. My next note, low-key, the Irids, what was I calling them? Irids? Irids. I'm gonna go Irids. Are low-key the airbenders of the world. They're like the peacekeepers, these little cute little feather tails. They're like, we will not interfere, this is the way. But then they're like, JK, we're actually gonna fight. And I'm like, you know, you could have saved us a long time if you just hopped on in the first time. And it's funny how they're the like only thing really that the Venom are scared of, which makes sense because Andarna's fire can light them up. You know, I just wrote conveniently not that much has happened when they're going on their little quest squad adventures. Yeah, I love Violet's little poisoning fiasco. I mentioned that with Xaden's family, and then she sent Andarna to go watch over Xaden's half-brothers. That was crazy. Yikes. Xaden's mom, you suck. And she thought chocolate cake would make it better. I mean, I still would have enjoyed the cake, but like, I've been mad. Something else I'll note, this whole time, Violet is never processing the grief that comes with losing her mom. I know that's her whole thing, like, I'll mourn later, I'll mourn later, I'll mourn later. But this is gonna add up, and Miss Girl is gonna have a full mental breakdown. Honestly, it happened when she lost Andarna, but like, someone get this girl in front of a therapist, please. One that's not venom and one that's actual confidential. I have a note about how I wish that Riddock or Mira actually died. Because those were like the 2 times I actually felt fearful. And I was like, oh, not Mira or Riddock, our little comedic king. Immediately with Riddock, his flight jacket stopped the knife. Then Mira, Brennan was conveniently distant wielded, and so was Sloane. Somehow, or she was flying on the way, I don't remember. Eric can now see the future, which somehow still seems cooler than Violet's second signet. It just, I was like, oh, come on, Rebecca, buck up and kill off a main character. Make us fearful and kill off Xaden. That'd be crazy. I'm just kidding. All these like recovered correspondence between them, I'm like, oh, they're all gonna die. I think that's why there's gonna be multiple POVs in the next 2 books, because we're gonna witness some deaths coming up. At least not in the 5th book, let alone that's how I think it's going to happen. Which leads me to my next point, you guys. It's almost like I am the one that wrote these notes and I think this way. The random POV changes, why did it go from Violet to Ree, where she's like, I'm not the best person I know, she is, and it randomly jumps to Ree. It's like, she's a great leader and it shows how she is, but I'm like, what was the point of that? And then it jumped to Imogen, and like we see her best friend die, which like very sad. I didn't honestly, I was like, who is Quinn? Till that part I was like, oh, yikes. But I was like, what are with these random POV changes? So I think she's adjusting us. That's what I'm expecting to happen. But I was like, why those 2? I'm really confused by the Ree one more, because I was like, what was the purpose of this besides just showing us she's a really great leader, like, which we Ben knew. Last thing I'll note, did Andarna rebond with Violet at the end? Because Violet could hear her. But I know the Feathertails can communicate with Violet, like all of them, so maybe Andarna was just doing that. But I was like, and she was like dream walking again with Xaden. I'm like, hello, did that never go away? I'm confused. Overall, the ending was boring. They've been here for 2 years and now they're married. I know it's because they're in a war and he wanted to give his property to her, and now she's the Duchess of Tyrandor and she gets the political say in everything. It all ended quite conveniently. Mira lived, Riddick lived. I'm quite confident they killed Theophany, but she was so cool. I wish we had more of her. And Xaden's like 100% venom. I could not find myself to care because, dude, what were you expecting to happen? Like, what were you expecting to happen through all this? But anywho, also last thing I'll note, Violet's hair, is she only silver because her dad took her to that one island to try to fix her and that somehow turned her hair silver? Because Theophany and that one other silver girlie are from that island, Umbreon? Not Umbreon. I'm confused. But she was touched, not dedicated. Was it because of her sickness he was trying to heal her? It had to have been, right? I don't know. Well, let's get into it, you guys. First, our first 2 quotes. Just Cat being annoying. It's literally Cat being annoying. She's like, you'd be so sad to Violet. You'd be so sad to lose your rival, wouldn't you? Or are you more intimidated by the fact that I could win and once again prove why I'm the better match for. And I'm like, we're doing this again. I'm bored. Next one, Kat's saying like, I can see it sometimes why he chose you. Nice speech, took you long enough to step in. This is when like Violet stopped a whole like challenge from happening where someone's gonna take someone out. Kat, no one needed your approval. Like, I want Miss Girl to have a redemption arc. Like, move on, find someone else since your last lover died, and you could be a really cool team up with Violet. But these little remarks, I'm over it. The jealousy trope, it's not working here. It's just making me more annoyed. Our next one, this one is kind of crazy. It's one of the like little quotes at the top of the chapter. You might be angry when you realize I didn't wake you to say goodbye, but it's only because I no longer fully trust my ability to walk away. Recovered correspondence of His Grace Lieutenant Xaden Riorson, 16th Duke of Tyrandor to Cadet Violet Sorgel. I think this was a note written at the end of the book because she like wakes up after like, I think it's either 12 hours or 3 days. Big difference. Coma. After the whole thing where she strikes Theophany with a dagger that's from her home planet, home island and temple. So that's something because she's a priestess. So that's like one of the only things that could actually kill her. And then she wakes up and she has like a ring. And suddenly Xaden's gone. And she doesn't remember what happened. So like Imogen's like, I did what you told me to do. I sent him away. This next part. Violet, this is where the dramatics. I'm like, what's happening? Rebecca, why are we being so dramatic? Can we relax? The next one, Xaden is getting announced as a professor, which I'm like, what's with this little side quest? He's literally been out of school for 1 year and now he's a professor. I kind of agree with the kids when like they're challenging him, but then he just like overpowers him. I'm like, it's just because you're like a strong fighter. Does that mean you're qualified? I don't know. And then Violet's face falls and Xaden tilts his head as shadows brush against her shields. And he goes like, what's wrong? Violet's ribs strain as if they can hold my heart together if they just squeeze tight enough. I think her relationship just ended. I'm like, there's no context. The way she's jumping to conclusions is the way she should have been jumping in the gauntlet. It might just be me. And then she gets like the whole like silent treatment on him where he's like, a word in private, and she's like, not a good idea. And she's like, you're a professor, I'm a cadet. And he's like, and Dane's like, Article 8, Section 1 of the Code of Conduct. And Bodhi's like, you two broke up? And Violet's like, yes, he's a professor now. He made this decision without me or consulting me because they're still not communicating. And Xaden's like, no. And Violet's like, I mean, you're our new professor, that's the rules. That whole section, I'm like, what is happening here? I'm not into this dynamic. This part left me, I audibly gasped at this next quote. We find out why Violet and Holden broke up, and Violet says, you'd have to own a heart to break it. I immediately counter, and the only hair I remember is your professor's covering your face when I walked in on her riding you. It was auburn, right? I was shook. I was actually like, he was hooking up with a professor? Why are we pushing the professor-student relationships? Absolutely not. I know we're not, but like kind of. This next one also made me audibly gasp when Violet is obviously her father's favorite child because he wrote all these things to her, and rightfully so. Mira and Brennan are like, what the F, Dad? Although they thought Brennan was dead. And I forgot that they didn't know he was alive, yikes. Or he didn't know at least. But they finally get to like the girl who gives Violet all of her dad's last books, and she's talking to like this whole squad. The little quest squad is there, and she's talking to Zane. She's like, I heard you saying you'd kill my grandson if he took another step toward your beloved Violet, young man. How illogically, toxically romantic of you. I have to admit that kind of confident violence isn't what I pictured when Asher, Violet's dad, talked about you. But the brown hair, I guess they're brown eyes, and how utterly smitten he predicted the two of you would eventually be for each other. Well, he described you almost perfectly, Dane Ados. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. I gasped. Our next quote though. The whole thing was Violet has to present the most rare item she could possess to Narelle, the person who held the books. And they bring some like, I think dagger or something. But Violet's like, my mind. He meant my mind. And I'm like, okay. Okay with your little Jedi mind tricks. Absolutely. And then the fact that this is another part where they get the books, but then they're on an island trying to find the Feathertails. And Xaden's mom is trying to set him up in another arranged marriage so that he could have an alliance with that island's kingdom so they could have their army and whatnot to fight. And she's out here like, it'd only be 3 years and then you could get back together. Think of Tyrandor. This mom constantly challenges my patience, and I'm so over her. Like, Miss Ma'am, go to therapy and learn how to be a better mother. Oh, our next quote is from Violet. I'm just like, Violet. I get it, you love him, I get it. Daddy, I love him. That's what I imagine Violet saying. But this whole thing, just listen to this description. God, he really is beautiful, and not just on the outside. Everything about him, his loyalty, his intelligence, his softer edges, no one else but me gets to see. Even his casual ruthlessness holds me in thrall. And whatever parts are missing, dead, according to the Irids, we'll live without them, because they were punks. He's still whole to me. As long as we can keep him from channeling from the earth, find a way for him to control that craving, we'll be all right. We have to be. This girl was really riding on hopes and dreams at this point. No evidence or anything. She's like, I love him, and that will keep him whole. This next part where Violet's figuring out that she like enters Xaden's dreams, and then she goes and like confronts Marin to figure out like if it was actually Marin's dreams. Marin is apparently Kat's best friend. Could have fooled me, I forgot about her. But I was like, Violet, in that dream, like way back in the beginning, I remember it was such a bizarre scene. Kat literally grabs your face or you grab hers. And honestly, I thought it was Xaden's dream based off of the intimacy. And they're like, you're the true heir to whatever, you have to live. I'm like, and Violet just like thought that was a normal way Kat would interact with her in her dream. Some of the critical thinking is not there for me because I don't think Kat would have ever done that to Violet. But she's like, oh well. Oh well. Oh, this next one is just us finding out she's an intrinsic. She's a dream walker. And Darna knew. And honestly, I don't know. Prove me wrong, Rebecca. Do something really cool with this. This next quote makes me want to vomit. Where Violet's like struggling for motivation to like survive because Indarna broke their bond. Like rightfully so, she wanted to be part of her family, learn more. Violet already had one dragon, they can always rebond, but it's still tough, I understand. And Violet's like, I exist for Tarn, but I live for Xaden. Girl, live for yourself. Stand up and live for yourself. You have overcome so much in your frail body with an autoimmune disorder. You have beat all the odds. You were meant to be a scribe, but you're a writer now. Live for yourself, not them. Like, you're one of the most, if not powerful writers with your signet and everything, with the most powerful dragon. You have so much going for you. Oh, the next reveal was just crazy. We already talked about this, how Theophany was the response, is the Venom version of her mom, Violet's mom, but just saying she's their answer to my mother. And this is how much, so much worse than battling herself is crazy. Oh, and this last one, I saved it because I honestly thought I would forget about Quinn dying, which that sounds really bad. But that was just a little reminder to me that I was like, I don't really have that much personal connection to this person, so I don't feel that bad. And that concludes the quotes. Did I even announce we're getting into quotes? Sorry, guys. I just got so into it. But anyway, Onyx Storm. What did we think? Obviously, you know my thoughts. I want more plot. I'm sick of Violet and Xaden. Honestly, maybe the more POVs will be good because then I'll be less sick of them being all up in each other's business. Kill someone cool off. Okay, here's my wishes for the next couple books. Multiple POVs so I get less Violet and Xaden angst. Kill off a main character. Do it. Play with our feelings. You keep doing it, but I want you to show us you can do it. Do it. More plot about the Feathertails and the battle and the fighting. It was so Venom focused, like rightfully so. They're trying to defeat them. They're trying to cure Xaden, but I'm like, I felt like Violet low-key cared more about the cure than the Feathertails. Just me. I think those are my 3 things. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna read the 4th and 5th one. I'm too far in. This is my little trashy reads. And yeah, this has been fun. I feel exhausted. I'm gonna need to go lie down. Let me know what you guys thought. What do you like? What you didn't like? What you would change? How do you feel about all the Target and Barnes & Noble fiascos? Their publishing company. Let me know your thoughts and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything here. And make sure you're following me on my other social media so you get all the live updates about what I'm reading. So you'll probably figure out what I'm going to review next. Instagram, TikTok, because we have it again. Whatever the F is happening with that. Who knows how long we'll have it actually. All at M's Novellas. Be sure to follow. And this has been so fun. I'll let you guys go. Otherwise, fly away, my little friends. I don't know. I'm just underwhelmed, you guys. We'll see you next time.